Your soulmate's marriage confession just shocked everyone. No one expected them to say it. Not their family. Not their friends. Not the person standing beside them. And certainly not the people who believed they had successfully convinced your soulmate to remain silent forever. For weeks, your soulmate had been carrying a truth that was becoming impossible to hide. They continued attending family gatherings, answering questions politely, and pretending that everything in their personal life was under control. From the outside, nothing appeared unusual. They smiled when someone mentioned their marriage. They changed the subject whenever people asked about the future. They continued performing the role everyone expected them to play, but inside, something had already ended. Today, during a gathering that was supposed to be peaceful, your soulmate finally stopped pretending. The room was filled with relatives, close friends, and people connected to both families. It was not planned as a confession. Your soulmate did not wake up that morning intending to expose everything. They had promised themselves they would remain calm, stay for a short time, and leave before anyone noticed how emotionally distant they had become. But then someone mentioned you. My child, pause for a second. Your name was not spoken with kindness. It was introduced as a warning. Someone laughed and said your soulmate had finally moved past that unnecessary distraction. Another person added that the marriage had protected them from making the biggest mistake of their life. A few people agreed. They spoke as though you were a temporary problem that had been successfully removed. Your soulmate remained silent at first. They looked down at their hands and tried to control their breathing. They had heard these comments before. In the past, they allowed them because defending you would have exposed feelings they were not prepared to admit. They told themselves silence was safer. They believed challenging the family would only create more conflict. But today, something was different. Someone sitting across the room said, "It is good they chose their marriage instead of chasing something that was never real." Your soulmate slowly raised their head. The entire room seemed to become quieter before they even spoke. Then they said, "I did not choose my marriage over them." A few people exchanged nervous looks. Someone asked what they meant. Your soulmate answered clearly. The truth is, my marriage was already over emotionally before that connection entered my life. The room became completely silent. The person standing closest to your soulmate froze. An older relative immediately tried to interrupt. They said this was not the right place for such a discussion. Your soulmate looked at them and replied, "There has never been a right place because all of you made sure I was never allowed to speak honestly." No one knew how to respond. Your soulmate had always been the one who avoided confrontation. They were known for keeping peace, accepting advice, and protecting the family's image even when it required hiding their own pain. People had grown comfortable with their silence. They assumed it meant agreement. Today, they learned that silence had only been delayed truth. Your soulmate continued. They admitted the marriage had not become what everyone believed it was. There had been no dramatic betrayal in the beginning. No single event caused everything to collapse. The relationship slowly became empty through years of unspoken resentment, emotional loneliness, and decisions made to satisfy everyone except the two people actually living inside it. Your soulmate said they tried to repair it. They tried counseling. They tried creating distance from work. They tried planning trips. They tried convincing themselves that loyalty meant staying no matter how emotionally absent both people had become. But nothing changed. They became two individuals sharing responsibilities while avoiding the truth. My child, pause for a second. The confession shocked everyone because your soulmate had never spoken this openly before. People believed the marriage was stable because there were no public arguments. But peace is not always proof of love. Sometimes silence means two people have stopped believing the conversation will change anything. Your soulmate revealed that their spouse had known for a long time that the marriage was ending. This was not a sudden secret. Months earlier, the spouse had asked a direct question. Are you still here because you love me, or because you are afraid of disappointing everyone? Your soulmate could not answer. That silence became the real confession. The spouse understood. Instead of reacting with anger, they admitted they had been staying for similar reasons. Family expectations. Shared responsibilities. Fear of public judgment. Fear of becoming the person blamed for destroying a marriage everyone celebrated. Both of them had been protecting an image while privately accepting that the emotional relationship was gone. The room remained silent as your soulmate explained this. Then someone asked the question everyone was thinking. Is this because of that person? They meant you. Your soulmate did not hesitate. No. The marriage did not end because of them. But meeting them forced me to realize how long I had been emotionally asleep. That sentence changed the atmosphere. Several people looked angry. Others looked embarrassed. A few avoided eye contact completely. Your soulmate continued before anyone could twist their words. They said you never asked them to leave the marriage. You never demanded promises. You never tried to compete with another person. In fact, when you discovered the situation was complicated, you created distance because you did not want to become part of a betrayal. You told your soulmate to make decisions based on truth, not because of pressure from you. But the people in that room had been telling a different story. They had described you as someone trying to destroy the marriage. They had called you manipulative. They had claimed you were only interested in attention. They had blamed you for emotions that existed long before you arrived. Your soulmate looked around the room and said, "Some of you knew that was not true." My child, pause for a second. That was when the confession became more than an admission about the marriage. It became an accusation. Your soulmate revealed that several people had been involved in keeping the truth from you. They had passed messages. They had created misunderstandings. They told your soulmate you had moved on. They told you that your soulmate had chosen the marriage completely and never cared about you. Both stories were designed to produce silence. Your soulmate had recently discovered proof. One person in the room had sent a message to their spouse months ago. It said, "If they start talking honestly, everything will fall apart. Make sure they believe the other person has lost interest." Your soulmate had seen the message only that morning. Their spouse found it while searching through an old phone. The message came from a relative who had repeatedly pretended to support the marriage. The same relative was sitting in the room. Everyone slowly turned toward them. Their face changed immediately. They claimed the message had been misunderstood. They said they were only trying to protect the family from scandal. Your soulmate asked, protect the family from what? The truth that two unhappy people were being pressured to stay together? The relative became defensive. They said marriage was about responsibility, not temporary feelings. Your soulmate responded calmly. This was not temporary. The emotional distance existed for years. You knew it, and instead of helping us face it honestly, you helped everyone pretend. The spouse, who had remained silent until then, finally spoke. Their words shocked the room even more. They are telling the truth. People turned toward them. The spouse admitted that both of them had already discussed separation. They said the decision was mutual. They said neither person wanted revenge, drama, or public humiliation. They only wanted to stop living inside a performance. Then the spouse looked directly at the relative and said, "You told me that if I agreed to separation, I would lose the family support." The relative denied it. The spouse removed their phone and opened an audio recording. A voice filled the room. It was the relative. The recording said, "You cannot let them leave. If the marriage ends, they will go back to that person, and then both families will begin asking questions about the agreement." Your soulmate's heart stopped when they heard the final word. Agreement. No one had mentioned an agreement before. Your soulmate looked toward the relative. What agreement? The relative stood and tried to leave. Another family member blocked the doorway. Everyone began asking questions at once. Your soulmate remained focused. They repeated, "What agreement?" The relative's confidence began disappearing. Finally, they said it was an old family matter that had nothing to do with the marriage. Your soulmate replied, "Then why did you use my marriage to keep it hidden?" No answer came. My child, pause for a second. The confession had uncovered something much deeper. The marriage was not only being protected because people feared judgment. Someone believed that if your soulmate became free, they would return to you. And if both of you spoke honestly, an old secret connecting the families might be exposed. Your soulmate demanded to know the truth. An older person in the room suddenly became emotional. They asked everyone to stop. For years, they had known pieces of the story but never the full version. They believed remaining silent would protect younger generations from an old conflict. Now they realized the silence had only allowed manipulation to continue. They looked at your soulmate and said, "You met that person before." Your soulmate became still. They asked when. The older person answered, "Long before the marriage. Long before either of you remembers." The room became quiet again. They explained that both families had once been close. Not simply friendly. They had shared business interests, property, and personal relationships. Then something happened involving missing money and falsified legal documents. Each family blamed the other. The friendship ended immediately. Years later, some elders attempted reconciliation. During those meetings, you and your soulmate met as children. You became attached quickly. There were photographs, letters, Small gifts exchanged between both of you. But when the reconciliation failed, everything connected to those meetings was hidden. Your names were no longer mentioned. The adults decided it would be easier if the children forgot. Your soulmate listened in disbelief. They asked why the marriage was connected to any of this. The older person hesitated. Then they revealed the most shocking part. Shortly before your soulmate's marriage was arranged, someone discovered that you and your soulmate had crossed paths again as adults. The person believed your connection could revive questions about the old conflict. They feared that if both of you compared family stories, you would discover the original accusations did not match. So they began encouraging the marriage to happen quickly. They created urgency. They told your soulmate the opportunity was perfect. They warned that waiting would disappoint everyone. They described the marriage as the safest and most responsible choice. At the same time, someone from your side began discouraging you from contacting your soulmate. Both sides worked separately toward the same result. Keep you apart. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate's marriage was real. The people inside it made genuine efforts. But outside forces had influenced the timing, the pressure, and the fear surrounding it. The marriage became a wall built around a secret neither partner understood. Your soulmate asked whether their spouse had known. The spouse shook their head. They had been used to. They were chosen because their family was closely connected to the relative protecting the agreement. The spouse looked devastated. They realized their marriage had been encouraged not only because people believed the match was suitable, but because it helped prevent your soulmate from asking questions. Someone in the room began crying. Another person became angry and demanded the agreement be shown. The relative insisted it no longer existed. Then your soulmate removed a folded document from their bag. Everyone froze. That morning, along with the old phone, the spouse had found a key and a handwritten address. The address belonged to a locked storage property owned jointly by members of both families decades earlier. They visited it before attending the gathering. Inside, they discovered a metal box. The box contained photographs of you and your soulmate as children. Copies of legal documents. Letters between family members. And one sealed envelope marked, "To be opened if the marriage confession is ever made publicly." No one understood how such an envelope could exist. It suggested someone had predicted this exact moment. Your soulmate placed it on the table. The room became completely silent. The relative whispered, "Do not open that." Your soulmate looked at them. Why? The relative's eyes filled with fear. Because once everyone reads what is inside, there will be no way to protect either family. Your soulmate replied, "You did not protect us. You controlled us." Then they opened the envelope. Inside was a letter written many years earlier. The first sentence read, "If the marriage has ended and the two of them have found each other again, then the truth can no longer be delayed." Your soulmate continued reading. The letter confirmed that the original conflict between the families had been manufactured. Neither family stole the money. A trusted third person had moved the funds and forged evidence against both sides. They created hatred to prevent anyone from comparing records. The writer discovered the truth too late. Before they could expose it, they were threatened. The evidence was divided into two parts and hidden with each family. Your family had one part. Your soulmate's family had the other. Only when both were brought together could the complete fraud be proven. That was why the connection was dangerous to those protecting the lie. If you and your soulmate reunited, both families might finally communicate honestly. Your soulmate looked around the room. Now everyone understood. The marriage confession had not destroyed the family. It had exposed the secret holding everyone hostage. But the letter contained one final page. Your soulmate turned it over. Their expression changed. The final page said, "One person involved in arranging the marriage knew the entire truth. They were promised control of the missing property if the two families never reunited." Below the sentence was a signature. The name belonged to someone standing inside the room. Not the relative everyone suspected. Someone quieter. Someone who had said very little. Someone your soulmate trusted deeply. Everyone turned toward them. The person slowly stood. Your soulmate asked, "Did you arrange my marriage to keep me away from them?" The person did not deny it. Instead, they said something no one expected. Yes. But not for the reason written in that letter. Your soulmate moved closer. Then tell us the reason. The person looked around the room and replied, "Because the last time those two were brought together, someone nearly died." Your soulmate froze. The older relatives became pale. The person continued. They do not remember what happened. None of you told them. But the marriage was not only meant to hide money or property. It was meant to prevent them from returning to the place where they found the original evidence. Your soulmate asked, "What place?" The person removed a photograph from their pocket. It showed an abandoned house. You and your soulmate stood outside it as children. Behind you was a broken window. And inside the dark room, a shadowy figure was watching. On the back of the photograph were 5 words. They witnessed everything that night. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate's marriage confession shocked everyone because it exposed years of emotional truth, family pressure, and deliberate interference. But the greatest secret is still hidden. The marriage was used to keep your soulmate from returning to you. The separation was designed to prevent both families from comparing evidence. And someone inside that room knows what you and your soulmate witnessed as children. Your soulmate takes out their phone. They begin writing to you immediately. I need to tell you what I confessed today. But there is something else. We knew each other before, and someone has been hiding what happened. Before they can send it, an unknown message arrives. It contains the address of the abandoned house. Below it is a warning. If you tell them about the confession, they will remember the night you were separated. A second message follows. And when they remember, they will know which person in that room should have gone to prison. Your soulmate looks around at everyone. Someone is missing. The quiet person who admitted arranging the marriage has disappeared. The photograph is gone. The storage key is gone. And the sealed letter now has one page missing. Your soulmate sends the message to you anyway. No more silence. No more allowing others to decide what truth you can handle. But while the message is traveling toward your phone, you are already standing somewhere unexpected. Outside the abandoned house from the photograph. You do not know why you came. You only know that after years of forgetting, you suddenly remembered the road. The front door is open. A light is burning inside. And from somewhere beyond the darkness, you hear a familiar voice say, "Your soulmate finally confessed. Now it is time for you to remember what their marriage was really created to hide." Your soulmate's hands were trembling. The message had already been sent. There was no way to take it back now. For years, they had allowed other people to decide what truth you deserved to hear. They had remained silent because they believed silence would protect everyone involved. But after standing in that room and confessing the reality of their marriage in front of their entire family, they realized something that changed everything. The truth had never destroyed their life. The lies had. Now, while everyone inside the house argued over the missing letter and the person who had disappeared, your soulmate could think of only one thing. You. Because if the warning inside the message was true, you were already standing outside the abandoned house where everything first began. My child, pause for a second. Sometimes destiny moves faster than explanation. While your soulmate was gathering the courage to tell you everything, your own heart had already begun leading you toward the place where your forgotten memories were waiting. You could not explain why you drove there. You had never planned the journey. You woke that morning with a strange feeling you could not ignore. Every road seemed familiar. Every turn felt remembered rather than chosen. And now, standing before the old building, your heartbeat refused to slow. The house looked exactly like the faded photograph. Broken windows. Weathered wooden walls. An old iron gate hanging slightly open. Vines covered most of the entrance, but someone had recently pushed them aside. Fresh footprints marked the dusty ground. You were not the first person to arrive. As you slowly stepped closer, another memory flashed across your mind. You were much younger. Someone was holding your hand. You looked up. It was your soulmate. Both of you were laughing. Neither of you seemed frightened. Then another voice interrupted the memory. A gentle older man smiled at both of you and said, "Remember this place carefully. One day, both of you will come back here together." The memory vanished. You touched your forehead. Why would anyone tell children something like that? Before you could think further, your phone vibrated. It was your soulmate. You answered immediately. Their voice was urgent. "Please tell me exactly where you are." You looked toward the house. "I'm outside." Silence. Then your soulmate whispered, "Don't go inside yet." You frowned. "Why?" "Because I'm coming. I think I remember this place." "I know. I feel like someone wants me to enter." "I know." "How do you know?" Your soulmate took a deep breath. "Because someone wanted both of us here from the beginning." My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate did not tell you everything over the phone. Some truths cannot safely travel through unknown ears. After discovering how many conversations had been manipulated in the past, they no longer trusted that your calls or messages were completely private. Within 30 minutes, your soulmate arrived. The moment your eyes met, neither of you spoke. Everything felt different. Not because years of pain had disappeared. Because honesty had finally entered the connection. There were no games left. No pretending. No testing. Only truth. Your soulmate slowly walked toward you. I confessed everything. You nodded. I read your message. They know about us. I know. They know the marriage was already broken. I know. They know people interfered. I know. Your soulmate looked surprised. How? You held up your phone. The unknown number had already sent you photographs from inside the family gathering. Every important moment. Every confession. Someone wanted you to witness everything. Your soulmate stared at the images. The only people present during the gathering should have been family members. Whoever sent the photographs had been inside the room. Watching. Listening. Recording. Someone much closer than either of you imagined. My child, pause for a second. Every answer seemed to create 3 new questions. But this time, neither of you allowed confusion to separate you. You decided something important. Every discovery would now be shared immediately. No more protecting each other through silence. No more carrying secrets alone. Together, both of you entered the old house. Dust covered nearly every surface. Broken furniture remained untouched for years. Yet something felt strange. Despite the age of the building, someone had cleaned a narrow path through the center of the hallway. Fresh footprints. Recently disturbed dust. Someone expected visitors. As both of you reached the main room, your soulmate suddenly stopped. I remember this window. You looked toward it. The broken glass matched the memory from the photograph. Then another flash returned. You saw yourself standing beside your soulmate. Both of you were holding pieces of folded paper. An older woman smiled warmly. She said, "Never lose these letters." Then shouting interrupted everything. Adults began arguing. Someone grabbed the papers. Someone else pushed another person. Glass shattered. You screamed. The memory disappeared again. Your soulmate leaned against the wall. I saw it too. Both of you were remembering together. That had never happened before. Near the fireplace stood an old wooden table. Upon it rested a small metal box. Unlike everything else inside the house, the box was spotless. As though someone had polished it only hours earlier. On top lay another envelope. Across the front were 6 handwritten words. For the 2 who remembered first. Your soulmate carefully opened it. Inside was a single sheet. The handwriting matched the older man from your memory. The letter began. If you are reading this together, then destiny has succeeded where fear failed. Both of you looked at each other. The writer continued. You were never separated because your love was dangerous. You were separated because you became witnesses. Witnesses? Your soulmate continued reading. When you were children, both of you accidentally overheard a conversation between the person who stole the family fortune and the people helping hide the truth. Your breathing became shallow. The letter explained that neither of you understood what you heard at the time. But the adults did. The moment they realized two children had witnessed the secret meeting, everything changed. Some wanted to protect you. Others wanted to protect themselves. The easiest solution became simple. Separate the children. Erase the memories. Destroy every reminder. And if they ever met again, keep them apart. My child, pause for a second. Your soulmate slowly lowered the letter. Everything suddenly made sense. The rushed marriage. The fake messages. The emotional manipulation. The repeated misunderstandings. None of it began because someone hated either of you personally. It began because your reunion threatened people who built entire lives upon a lie. Then something unexpected happened. A floorboard beneath your feet shifted. Your soulmate stepped back. A hollow sound echoed below. Both of you knelt together. Hidden beneath the wooden floor was a small compartment. Inside rested dozens of cassette tapes, old photographs, newspaper clippings, and one leather diary. Across the front were the words. Everything they tried to erase. Your soulmate carefully opened the diary. The first page contained children's handwriting. Not adult writing. Children's. You immediately recognized your own name. Beside it, your soulmate's name. The diary belonged to both of you. Apparently, years ago. You kept it together. Neither of you remembered writing it. Your soulmate turned to the first entry. It read, "Today we promised we would always tell each other the truth because grown-ups keep too many secrets." Neither of you could speak. Page after page described innocent childhood meetings. Playing in the garden. Drawing pictures. Exploring the old house. Laughing. Making promises. Then one entry changed completely. We heard Uncle shouting. He said nobody must find the papers. He pushed someone. There was blood. We got scared. We promised never to forget. The final sentence had been crossed out violently. Someone had attempted to destroy the page. My child, pause for a second. You suddenly remembered. Blood on the floor. Your soulmate pulling you behind a cabinet. Someone searching every room. A voice shouting. Find the children. Your entire body trembled. Your soulmate remembered too. They whispered. We were hiding. You nodded. We saw everything. Just then, a loud crash echoed upstairs. Someone else was inside the house. Your soulmate immediately closed the diary. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. Watching. Neither of you moved. Then another voice filled the silence. You should have left the past alone. The voice sounded familiar. Very familiar. Both of you turned toward the staircase. Standing there was your soulmate's former spouse. Neither of you expected that. Your soulmate stared in disbelief. What are you doing here? The former spouse slowly walked downstairs. I'm here because someone finally told me the truth. Your soulmate frowned. What truth? The truth that my marriage was never only about us. The former spouse looked directly at you. I used to believe you destroyed my marriage. They paused. I was wrong. Your heart tightened. I recently discovered letters hidden by my grandfather. They explained everything. They admitted our marriage was encouraged because certain people believed it would permanently separate both of you. Your soulmate looked devastated. I'm so sorry. The former spouse smiled sadly. You don't owe me an apology. You owed me honesty. And today, you finally gave it. My child, pause for a second. Something remarkable happened. The person everyone expected to become your enemy became another victim. They too had been manipulated. Their marriage had been used. Their future had been planned by people chasing an old secret. The former spouse reached into their bag. I found this. They placed an old cassette tape onto the table. Your soulmate recognized the label immediately. Final meeting. Date: 30 years earlier. The former spouse continued. My grandfather wanted me to destroy it. I couldn't. I listened instead. What was on it? The former spouse looked at both of you. A confession. A complete confession. Your soulmate reached for the tape. Before they could touch it, the lights inside the house suddenly went out. Darkness. Complete silence. Then the front door slammed shut by itself. Your phone screens lit the room faintly. Another message arrived simultaneously on both devices. If you listen to the tape, everyone will know whose family truly betrayed the other. Seconds later, another message appeared. But you still don't know the biggest lie. Your soulmate opened it. A photograph filled the screen. It showed your childhood diary. Not the one in front of you. Another copy. Different handwriting. Different ending. The final page read. They made the children forget. But one of them remembered everything. Your soulmate stared at you. You remembered? You shook your head. No. Then another memory struck. Not your memory. Someone else's voice. A woman crying. Saying repeatedly. They remember too much. Then. A doctor's office. A conversation. One sentence. After today, they will remember nothing. Your knees weakened. Your soulmate caught you before you fell. The former spouse looked terrified. They erased your memories. Your soulmate whispered. They didn't only separate us. They made us forget each other. Suddenly, the cassette player sitting across the room turned on by itself. Static filled the air. Then an elderly man's voice began speaking. If this recording is playing, then both children survived. Everyone froze. The voice continued. I never expected them to find each other again. I owe them the truth. The recording crackled. Then came the confession. I lied about the money. I forged the signatures. I blamed both families. I arranged the marriage. But none of those were my greatest crime. The room became completely silent. Your soulmate slowly reached for your hand. The recording continued. My greatest crime was what I ordered the doctor to do after the children witnessed everything. The tape suddenly stopped. Complete silence. Then smoke began rising from inside the cassette player. Someone had activated a hidden mechanism. Within seconds, the tape caught fire. Your soulmate desperately tried to save it. But half the recording burned before your eyes. Only the beginning survived. The ending, the most important confession, turned to ash. The former spouse whispered. They knew we'd find it. Your soulmate looked toward the burning tape. Then toward you. Their voice barely rose above a whisper. They didn't only steal years from us. They stole our memories. But outside the old house, an engine started. Someone had been watching through the window. And as the vehicle disappeared into the darkness, another envelope fell through the broken doorway. Across the front were 8 chilling words. The real confession was never on the tape. Beneath it, one final sentence. It was hidden inside your soulmate's wedding vows all along.